Andrew Human, Chief Executive Officer of the Loerie Awards, is with us as he gears up for another event recognizing creative excellence. Andrew, a very warm welcome to you. Before we talk about Loeries 2017 and this regional roadshow that you've been on, some of the lessons that you've learnt in brand communication, let's tread over some old ground if we can. Given the difficulties of the South African economy at the moment, the downgrade that we have just experienced, let me suggest to you that never before has the need for a creative economy become more important.
Well, you're asking...
Preaching the gospel, yeah.
Yes, so absolutely. I think our core message, it's not just a rubber stamping and saying, oh, this is another award show. What you're doing is saying, how do ideas matter in our economy? And on the one hand, it matters in terms of driving the economy, and it matters in terms of driving brands, but it also matters in terms of employment. It matters in terms of youth. All the things we're looking at, we're talking about what has happened in our economy in 20 years, and how are we transforming our economy, and how are we giving people opportunities. So if you look at the realities, the one reality is it's almost low-hanging fruit. If you take young people and you educate them and you equip them and you give them an opportunity to take their ideas and convert their ideas into something of value, then you're literally like a modern gold mine. So you're saying that idea gets linked to an invoice. So you sit here in a studio, you sit behind a blank screen, you create things through innovation, you convert that into a logo, into a radio commercial, into a TV commercial, into a digital campaign, and you send someone an invoice and you get money in your bank account. And we have so much potential to build on that, and that's really what our focus is on growing that economy.
What about broader potential within the African continent itself? You're at great pains to point out to me that the Loeries is no longer just a South African competition. You've taken this well beyond our borders over the past couple of years. You've just back from a roadshow. What have you discerned?
So again, it's very interesting. I've traveled across Africa as well as into the Middle East. So we include Africa and the whole of the Middle East as our region. And it is interesting going. I was in Nigeria, I was in Kenya, and one of the things, again, I'm always try to bring across is that people often talk about Africa, and they say Africa has this new potential.
Forgetting, of course, that we are part of it as well.
Yes, so the one thing is people go, Africa. So the one thing is, yes, we are right on that continent. And the other thing is that we are as much one thing as Europe is. So it's like going to, especially the English now, and saying you are the same as the French. And they're saying, well, actually, we've just proven that we're not.
Yes.
And what's amazing is if you travel in Africa is every country is distinctly culturally different to the next. And I think it's one of our problems that we go, it's all Africa. And if you go to Nigeria and you go to Kenya, it's the same as going from France across the European continent to Belgium or to the Netherlands and saying you're all the same.
Having said that, you would have had an opportunity to gauge possibly the strength of the brand communications industry across the continent. Is it in a good space right now?
Look, I think there's a lot of the countries again are very different. So the strongest areas and the biggest markets are quite obvious. So South Africa has a very, very strong advertising industry and very high standards. And I'd say second to South Africa coming out of the Middle East is Dubai. And those are your two strong centers, but then coming as well as Kenya is incredibly well developed, and there's a lot of exciting things happening. Kenya is more advanced in South Africa in many areas like digital. And again, because of the way, so if you look at what's happened in South Africa, to be frank, our government never put much interest in developing the digital economy and in developing broadband. And by it's the same as having roads. You cannot have an economy in Sandton unless people can get from A to B. And digital whole market cannot work unless people have access to the internet. And Kenya worked earlier to put in fast broadband at low prices. And that has affected their whole digital economy. Our broadband here, we're starting to get it in major centers, but it's still very expensive. And that affects the whole economy.
Let's talk very quickly about this year's event, 2016. I think you say a record 22 countries outside of South Africa entering the Loeries, 2 of the 8 Grand Prix going to agencies in Kenya and in the Middle East. 2017, what's in store then?
So again, I think it's a very exciting year again. It's in Durban again, 14th to the 20th of August. So it's a similar creative week. So, excuse me, that's
not a problem, Andrew. Keep talking. Yes. Okay.
So
it's obviously someone phoning to enter. Yes. Keep going. Yeah.
So we've got a similar program. We are hoping for growth in the region. We've got a great program of masterclasses this year. We've already lined up some very exciting speakers for the masterclasses. And again, we have jury presidents who are global leaders coming out from across the globe. We've got someone from Washington, D.C., someone from California. We've got 2 people coming out from Germany this year. And then we've got additional, so we'll have 8 speakers at the seminar, all international speakers. We have the masterclasses, we have the awards. So really, I think the whole focus of Creative Week is to provide this inspiring environment. It's sort of this injection of thought-provoking ideas is what it's about.
And this is just for advertising people, isn't it?
It depends on what you call advertising people. So advertising to me is everything, you see. So anywhere where a brand interacts with a consumer is advertising.
That creative economy.
So we look at interior design, we look at architecture, we look at brand, graphic design. So a lot of people think advertising is only a television commercial, but that is a core element. But there are so many elements today that you consider brand communication. And that's what it's about.
Andrew Human, Chief Executive Officer of the Loeries, as always, thank you very much for joining us. You can take that call now.